Hi guys, Sunday night. Welcome to the APAT Show. We're back. We missed a week last week. Lee, it's good to see you. How's everything been in the last week or so?
It feels like, we were just saying, weren't we? It feels like a lifetime when we miss a show for a week. It's there's been lots going on. Well, there is lots going on. Certainly in the UK, yeah, things are opening up, and there's kind of other stuff to do as well as poker these days. People go down the pub and all sorts of stuff. Crazy.
Have you been? I bet you haven't been.
No.
All right, we'll come on to all of that. So hope everybody is well. Lee, let's talk poker. So it's a medal weekend. What exactly do we have on the cards tonight?
It is medal weekend. So it's the same 4 events that we normally have on a Sunday. Obviously, they're a little bit ramped up. Guarantees get increased. The 2 main events also have a day 2, which will complete out tomorrow. Yeah. But obviously, we're still playing leaderboard ladders. So
I'm afraid to ask. Don't. Yeah. I know you're going to tell me Gordon MacArthur, Tony Ross, they've fallen off this week, right? They've fallen off because the weather is good. Am I right?
No.
Tell me I'm right, Lee.
Unfortunately.
Oh my God.
Not.
How are they doing? They're like 17th and 18th, right? They might fall.
Des, we have a saviour. We have a saviour.
Christ.
Igor Asimov is currently top of the leaderboard. And Igor is on step 1. Now, if you ever want to champion somebody, this is the one. This is the one to champion. He's currently top of the leaderboard at the moment. He is closely followed by Mr. Tony Ross and Mr. Gordon MacArthur.
What?
They're both on step 5. They're in 2nd and 3rd place at the moment. David Nee from Ireland is 4th at the moment, and Kevin Brzozowski from the UK is in 5th. Also notables on that leaderboard in the top 20 at the moment. Mark Shepstone, he's on step 3. Di Farrell, she's on step 5. All the others are on step 1. So we've just got a handful.
That's all right. We can afford that.
We can afford that. We'll be okay. We'll be fine. So what we're playing out tonight, the 5 o'clock deep stack's already finished. $4,000 in the prize pool there. 120 runners. That got winner of that was Edward Tomescu, who's picked up $980. Tom O'Halloran in 2nd place and Will Stevenson in 3rd. So well done to everybody that cashed in that one. The main event is pretty deep into it now, and we're down to 38 runners of the 188 that started. $10,000 in the prize pool for that. That is going to be paying out the top 31. And don't forget, when we get to 16 runners, that stops for the night. And then those 16 will come back tomorrow at 7 o'clock to play that out. Over $2,000 up top.
Great. Nice payday.
So really, really nice payday in that. And at 8 o'clock, the PLO main event started. That actually just got over the guarantee, so it's $4,050 in that. 82 runners in total, 27 of those remaining. We're paying top 13, so about half the remaining players are going to get paid. That stops when we get to 7. So when we get to a final table, that will stop with those 7 coming back tomorrow. Top prize in that, over $1,128 in that. So really,
good
really
start
nice.
To the month. Are you happy days?
Really, really nice indeed. And then the one which always smashes the guarantee, it's got $2,240 in the prize pool there. It's the closer, which is the Knockout Turbo. That's got 112 runners, 48 remaining. It's paying top 17. That will play to a conclusion tonight. So top prize, and that'll be $220 plus your bounties. As we know, I'll
tell you what.
Pretty tasty.
I tell you what, Lee, I'm thinking the main event, right, for next month, we're going to go to a turbo knockout format, 1 minute blinds, a special roulette style knockout medal event. We'll get it done in about 27, 28 minutes, the whole thing. It'll be an absolute sellout.
It'll be absolutely perfect, isn't it? That's the way.
Stick 30 grand on guarantee on it. Happy days.
Yeah. Just looking at the main event, players that are still in that we know. There's a Daniel Austin. Name rings a bell.
Do you know what, Lee? I've got a feature table here. This was not by design, but I see Dan Austin is on there, as indeed is Joby Plunkett, James Edwards, Kevin Frame. There's a bunch of players on there that I recognise.
Excellent. I'm just scanning down the list. So so we've got we got Dan Slynn, Tom Bacon is still there as well. You mentioned James Edwards. Pete Wigglesworth has still got chips. Phil Cole's got a great Phil Cole's story.
Have you?
Phil Coles has got.
But it's to do with quizzing, hasn't it?
It's of course it's to do with quizzing. 100% it's to do with quizzing.
Can we talk about Carlo Ancelotti going back to Real Madrid? I'd really quite like to do that in the name of Phil Coles.
We can discuss that. And yeah, you mentioned Joby Plunkett as well. So Andy Heath has also still got chips in that. They're down to 37 at the moment. So yeah, we've got that feature table up now. I'll tell you. Yeah, so my very very quick Phil Coles story. So we do the quiz on a Friday night, and I don't know whether if you follow me on Facebook or you follow Quizlot on Facebook, if you mad enough to do that. We often put out the round titles, so we give them all a clue as to what's coming up from the night. There's always a newsworthy, which is like what's gone on in the week, and there's always a chop of the pots, which is a music round. But the rest of them, we can be quite cryptic at times. And the intermission round this week, I'd called the cabinet.
Okay.
Now, Jen has been pestering me for weeks and weeks and weeks to do a cabinet or shadow cabinet round because she knows all about that kind of stuff. So we did the cabinet, and so apparently Phil had been prepping for this all afternoon, looking at politicians. Except I did 20 sporting trophies instead.
He wouldn't have known a great deal about that with his Chesterfield and Everton sort of leanings.
Well, to be honest, he was pretty good actually.
I bet he was.
They scored quite highly on that, but yeah. So we always try and just mess the guys around so they don't quite know what's coming. So
well, I'd have been studying IKEA furniture names. They do have some rather strange IKEA furniture names. That's where I'd have been leaning my study towards.
Now there's a round. Oh, you've given me a great idea. Right, excellent. I'll we'll look to
10% Lee, 10%. I can work for you in that way.
That's fine by me. To be honest, after I don't even know how many weeks we've done straight now of quizzes. I think I don't know, 25, something like that. So as you start kind of going, right, what are we going to do this week? We need to come up with something.
Oh well, listen, Lee, I've got a quiz for you.
Okay.
Do you want to do a quiz? Do you want to do a quick quiz now? You want to do a quick quiz? Then. Okay. So I thought to myself, right, we've got to get something like Turbo Millionaire back, right? So I was having a little look online for instant quizzes, that could be played out online. And I found something this evening that I thought, that looks pretty good. I wonder, do we still have, here we go. Right, so I had to play with it. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
So trivia quiz, I think you get 10 questions, right?
Okay.
So you can have gen knowledge, dictionary, entertainment, history, food and drink, geography, science and nature, no sports. So I'm crushed. Straight away, I'm crushed. What do you fancy? And
you had a go at a couple of these. Are they your point? They're your scores from a couple of those rounds.
Yeah.
If I was on there, I probably would be picking entertainment. Would be my choice.
Yeah. So I picked them to see. First of all, was it a UK centric quiz or an American thing or whatever? And
you're going to tell me it's Kazakhstan, aren't you? That's what you're
No.
me.
Very little Kazakhstan related fashion questions.
Damn it, because that's my mastermind subject. Oh well.
Okay, so you're going to go for entertainment. You're going to smash my 558. But the format here is you get presented with a big, bold question. You've got 4 answers, I think, underneath. It's a time-related thing, so you've got
so you've got to click quite.
Yeah,
click
and you have to find
the
right answer. So even if it means clicking wrong, right.
Oh,
you've
really?
got to do it before you get served the next question, right? So it's pretty much how quickly can you get through. So, obviously you're going to rely on me to click things here. Are you ready?
I'll fall at the first hurdle here then. Here we go. Then.
Here we
as long as the screen doesn't go on me, we'll be all right.
Boom, there you go. So the spin-off to children's program Blues Clues is called what? Spin-off, Blues Clues.
Clue. Blues Adventures, never heard of it.
Keep going.
Blues Room.
Boom. Okay, 15 points. Who wrote The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Crikey. It's not Poe, is it? Yeah, no, it is Poe, yeah.
No.
Is it not? Bierce? I don't think it's the other two.
Shelley.
Is it Shelley? Really?
Another day older and deeper in debt are words from the chorus of which famous song?
I don't recognise any of those, so just hit them. Because crazy. I don't recognise any of the songs.
16 tons. Okay,
well
who famously wore a dress held together with safety pins?
Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah, remember that. 72 points there. Which of these women once compared being pregnant to having a tumour growing within her?
Courtney Love.
No.
Bridget Bardot.
Blimey. How is Stacey Ferguson better known? Stacey Keach, Beyonce, Duchess of York, Fergie?
Duchess of York, yeah. No, what we're talking about. Of course it's not. It's not. You stop messing about. We'll try Stacey Keach then.
No.
Okay, so it's got to be Fergie then. It ain't Beyonce.
There you go, 3 points. Preparing for his role in this drama, Leonardo DiCaprio spent a day with Jane Russell. Movie was named what?
The Aviator.
Yes. Which primates were in the midst with Sigourney Weaver?
Gorillas.
Yep. Actress Lucille Fay Lucille was better known by which
Lucille
stage
Ball.
name? No.
Oh, really? Bette Davis then.
No.
Okay, so Lucy Liu. You get to be bloody Joan
No.
Crawford, you watch.
Oh, in the Flintstones, what are the name of the daughter of Fred and Wilma?
Pebbles.
Yeah. Oh, I think you've gone there. Let's have a look. 353 points.
There's a couple of really
that was
tricky
difficult.
ones in there
That
you
was
just,
difficult.
wouldn't have a clue at. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
that
good
was
fun
difficult.
though. So what's
But
that?
it was
What's
the
that
Harrows.
website called?
That was called lovatpuzzles.com.
Very nice.
LOVATTS.
Yeah, very good.
Puzzles.com. Quite nice. So, So sorry about that, guys. That's our first distraction away from the poker tonight. The first of many.
I've got plenty tonight to go with. But anyway, Luca's in the chat.
Luca
Des.
Canella. Love
Luca's
Luca.
in the chat. Yes,
So
I completely agree, Luca. We cannot wait to see everybody at a live event. It's quite scary when you think whenever we do get around to all being able to get together again. I'm not even sure the poker will really matter. I'm really not convinced it will.
Feels like it's starting to happen a bit now, Lee. Obviously, the States is opening up quite quickly. A couple of the poker rooms have opened up in local markets recently. Still lots of plexiglass around, and I guess there will be for a while, but it feels like it's starting to...
Did you see on Twitter the other day, maybe the day before last, Rob Young's tweets?
Which ones?
So he said to people, do you remember the UKPC that the TK ran? And I had to think.
The Sky,
I had to
was
think
it?
for a bit, Des.
Is that the one you won? Did you win the six packs in that?
It vaguely rang a bell, but I couldn't quite think where it was. The point that he was making was, wouldn't it be great to bring those back and have maybe six a 6 kind of leg tour with a grand final at Dusk Till Dawn? And if so, what venues would people like to go to? And he was talking about a £500 buy-in for the normal legs with maybe £1,000 buy-in for the grand final.
But is he talking about casino-based legs, or is he talking about doing something a bit different? Is he talking about which cities would you like to go to?
He's talking. Okay. He was very much talking casinos, looking for venues that would be able to host it, and so but it was interesting. People were putting up. I would love to go to Blackpool, be great, and
Blackpool,
somebody
fantastic.
mentioned Dundee.
Dundee.
Brighton got mentioned, Luton got mentioned. But it's funny if he came back to a few people kind of going, well, they were mentioning somebody's going, well, is there a venue big enough that could do it? So he's obviously thinking about it, and he's got Simon Trumper on the case. So it's great to know that they're starting to consider these things, because it wasn't that long ago when we were talking to Rob where you just felt wasn't in any rush at all.
We know that. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we're going to take our lead from the likes of Rob and what have you, the bigger operators. Simply, we want to see what's happening. We want them to prove that it can be done without screwing up people before we come back.
Well, to be honest, I mean, I had a message only yesterday from one of the biggest poker organisations in the UK. They're at the forefront of what goes on, and I don't want to give away too much because obviously that they'll make their own announcement when they're ready. But it's a bit of an exclusive. I can confirm to you, Des, that the Black Country Poker Club have a new venue and they have a new schedule ready to release.
Fantastic. Love it.
So,
Love it.
and Brian said, he said, I'm getting close to retirement age, he said, and then I'm going to be full steam with all things poker in the world. So,
did I see, I'm sure I saw a picture last week on the timeline of Laura Roden with a poker trophy or chips or cash, certainly, having won something recently. So it is beginning to come back.
Yeah, I think so. It's very much feels to be the way. Slowly, interestingly, over in Vegas, plexiglass is all being shipped out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's gone.
If you want secondhand plexiglass, you can ship it from Vegas. I think there's a lot of it out there. But they very much seem to be taking that view. I follow a couple of the dealers over in Vegas on Twitter.
What drugs?
Just fantastic little stories of pretty much of poker stories and things going on. Is seeing it from a dealer's point of view. I mean, I think to deal poker full time in Vegas, you probably, if you can't write a book after you've done that for a few years, you're hard pushed. Yeah.
Find the right person with the right stories, and that would be riveting. I have no doubt. Did I read somewhere last week or maybe the week before that Vegas is now like 100% open? So forget poker and plexiglass and stuff like that. They are open for business.
I think we are pretty much waiting for confirmation of the WSOP schedule and what they've got sign off on all of that, and they're going to be a way to go. And that seems to be the attitude they're taking: is we're open, we're vaccinating everybody, and America is very much open for business.
Wow.
It's interesting. I think we seem to be. I think we're up there with the vaccinations in the UK. We just seem to be a little bit slower on wanting to, a little bit more cautious in easing things, and getting everything back open.
It's an interesting one, that I think I think there is, there are a few people who just don't want to get back to it. I mean, I'm ready to get back to it. I ventured out to a sort of a networking event last week or earlier last week, and you just have to get out there again now. I mean, the numbers are strong at the moment. Now that could switch, right? It could switch. Just touch wood, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I ventured out to 2 shops over the weekend, which was I mean, the second one was quite scary actually. I wouldn't recommend it if you.
Was that Tesco?
Because I went to the Range.
The Range. Hold on. That sounds like it involves guns and stuff. Or are we talking golf?
That's the Range where they I think they put a load of food sections in so they could technically be open during lockdown. But it's all they were piping over that was constantly over the tannoy was about 2 meters and social distance. There's no way could you stay 2 meters away from anybody in that shop.
Jammed.
If you were the only one in the shop, I don't think it's quite possible. But had to go and buy some play sand.
Play sand?
Yeah.
Play sand?
I built a sand pit over the weekend.
So many questions. Do you have an announcement to make?
We are in the process of trying to stop the puppy from digging holes in the garden.
Oh no, you're giving them sand.
That a sand pit apparently is the solution. So yes.
Wow.
So we're giving that. I never thought I'd be seeing myself requiring to be building.
Let's hope he doesn't see that as a big litter tray. Oh, look at the size of the litter tray they've given me.
That won't be the case.
Well, then you get the neighbours' kids around. I'm going to play in the sand.
That side of things with the puppy is fine. It's just the digging holes at the moment. So we recommended that's a good way.
Excellent.
So I built a sand pit of all things.
That's good. No, do you have a picture? You should have sent me a picture.
I should have sent you a picture. Yeah,
you're not going to put it up
tomorrow. I will go and snap you a photo of the.
Listen, I have 3 photos for you, Lee. Right? I have 3 photos for you. The first one. Let me just pop this up. The first one needs no explanation, I'm sure.
Look at that. I didn't think the seats at Anfield were blue.
Yeah,
oh no, of course you don't. It's not yours anymore, is it? No,
yes, it's been to Germany and it's come back to England and it's gone to the south.
Have you got any trophies that belong to you at the moment?
I don't think so. No,
I don't think so.
No, because Bayern Munich won that. I think we don't have anything. We don't have anything.
Not even the Merseyside Sunday afternoon cup, something like that.
We have nothing. But I have to say, Lee, we're just so happy because despite having had a terrible season, right? And what was the single biggest terrible statistic relating to our season? What would you say?
Well, I surely it's the 6 home defeats in a row.
The 6 home defeats in a row. Can you believe? Can you believe Man United have had more home defeats than Liverpool in the season just finished? It's astonishing.
Yes, I think we probably have because we basically switched off once we got Champions League. Pretty much just went because obviously we were obviously focusing on the one
saving our legs.
That Matt, oh no, No, that didn't work, did it? No, that went horribly wrong. Yeah.
But I tell you,
yeah.
quietly though, as a fan, and I get a great sense of what the fans are thinking. There are always anomalies, too far right and too far left, of course. But basically, the 80% in the middle, I think people are happy with the finish of the season. 8 wins, 2 draws in the last 10. We made 3rd place. Frankly, it would have taken an optimist to have suggested that, at the start of the run.
What was your skipper doing this afternoon for England, though?
Yeah, it wasn't a good decision. It wasn't a good decision.
It didn't look great, did it? Oh, it looked really awful. And when the stats came up that he's one of only 6 players to have got more than 50 caps and not scored for England, I don't know whether that... I'm sure that wouldn't have been in his mind, because he doesn't come across as that type of person. That he just saw an opportunity to finally get a goal.
I don't think he took
kind
it.
Of like,
Yeah, I doubt that he took it, for the goal. I think he probably took it, or what probably went through his mind. Because I don't think for a minute he would have walked on at halftime saying, I'm going to, thinking to himself, I'm going to take a penalty, we'll get one. I'm sure it was just a thing. And I think he was probably using it to announce that he's back on the scene and he wants to be a leader. And, Rashford's gone off.
It just wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but we know he's not a penalty taker.
It wasn't a great penalty.
Well, it wasn't a bad penalty. It wasn't a bad penalty at all. It was a great save.
Penalty and had won the penalty and had the ball in his hand, thinking he was going to take it. Yeah, it didn't feel right. And I'm sure he would probably look back on it and go, yeah, I wish I'd not done that, actually.
I think in retrospect, of course he will. But of course, had he scored it, it would have been a G up for confidence, and he would have, been a bit... Because, of course, a lot of people saying it's too late for him. He shouldn't be in the squad. And arguably, he hasn't played since February, like early February. So he can't be anywhere near match fit. So,
know what he's going to bring. To be honest, there's obviously some really sad news whilst we're just on that now. I mean, I felt for Trent earlier on the week. I mean, just horrible to have gone through the roller coaster. And to be fair, the media abuse and hassle he's had over being dropped from the squad when that was never the case.
It's just a story. It's just a story.
It's just a story. And he's had to listen to that and watch that and everything. And then to be in the squad and then for that to happen was just brutal. It really is. But obviously the whole thing was then, well, who's going to replace him? And the reality is there's probably, I don't know whether he's announced that. I think he has announced it now.
I assumed Ward-Prowse would get called back in.
Well, I assumed it was either going to be Ward-Prowse or Lingard.
Lingard I thought played okay today as well. Ward-Prowse looked okay.
I haven't yet seen... I thought he was announcing it within the hour, but I'd not seen it yet. But I mean, there's an argument that both of those should have been in ahead of Henderson simply on a match fitness.
Yeah. The thing about Henderson is...
But Henderson could get his match fitness up.
Well, look, the reality is...
He could be vital for that squad.
The reality is 26 players in a squad, right? So as opposed to the 23. So that you've got 3 extra spaces there anyway. But Henderson is twice the leader that Harry Kane is. So, if for that alone, he's a winner, right? He's driven that Liverpool team to lots of trophies. So, I'd have him there. I mean, you'd want a winner in there. Who else has won stuff in there?
Yeah, no, I think it makes a massive... I was just looking to see. I can't see anything saying that he's announced who the replacement's going to be yet. So
it'll be interesting to see. So it all kicks off next Friday. We might as well briefly mention it. The Euro 2020, and I'm glad they kept the name. But it all kicks off next Friday evening. That's pretty exciting. How are you feeling as a Welsh
quite quick,
man?
Isn't it?
You feeling?
I don't think we're in as strong a position perhaps as 2016. But in saying that, I didn't think we were in that strong a position then. And I think I've said this on the show before, is the thought of Wales getting to a major finals in my lifetime was just like brilliant, tick in the box. That's amazing. Yeah. And then to have the run that we did was incredible. And then 4 years later to have qualified again for another one. With a group of players that I don't feel is as strong, although I do think there's a lot of youth coming through and a lot of potential there moving forward.
I tell you what,
in another 4 years' time, Bale won't be about, and so it'll be interesting to see.
Get 2 results of any sort in that little group come through, and Wales will be zinging, right? The country will be absolutely popping. It'll be great. So I really hope it happens for Wales, Scotland, and England.
Who are
I really
the
do.
favourites? Who are the favourites to win it?
France, I think.
France,
I mean, Belgium have had arguably the best team for a long time, but they've never delivered. So, I think they'll go in as one of the favourites. But France, arguably, I think, World Cup winners. You've got the addition of Benzema up front. Pogba's playing reasonably well. I think, you've got Mbappe. I think they could be strong. I'd expect Italy to put on a decent show. Spain, you never count out. And outside of that, who knows? Who knows? Could be an interesting one.
So the picture with the cup, is that the actual, or was it a replica, or is that the actual
No
cup?
idea. No idea.
No idea what was put out there. You don't know
details. Just showed up, and I thought, I'm gonna have a look and see what's going on here. That's mine.
If you've got a chance to have a
I will have that.
You take it.
So the second picture that I want to show you, right? I'm not into football shirts. I really amn't, but they haven't announced this yet. There's a bit of a scoop here. This is the new Liverpool away shirt for next season. I like that. I think that's very smart.
That's absolutely definite, because we see a lot of these put out around social media.
They'll be there. I've signed off on that. That's the one.
That is actually is it.
That's it. That will be announced soon. I am 100% sure. And the third, and I just like it because it's not as bright and mad as football shirts can be. The third picture I have for you is, I think it was Lad Bible. I assume this was just a mad story. Announced that Sam Allardyce
I saw this story.
is heading to Vegas to become a poker pro. That's his new, and I thought, great story. I love that. Why wouldn't you?
I chose not to click on it because I just thought, no, because I'm just going to get disappointed. It's just
now, Sam's got a few tells in him. You can see that. This was obviously the only picture that I could use for this particular little piece. But apparently, Sam Allardyce going to Vegas to become a poker pro. I don't know, Lee. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I'm not convinced. But
well, if he's going, the only thing certain is that little Sammy is going too.
No, obviously, yeah.
Carry his chips or something. I don't know.
I was going to say, you're going to need somebody to stack his chips for him. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. There you go. So let's put the poker back on. Let's get it back onto a serious footing.
So, yeah, we're getting close. So the main event's got, we're down to 31 in that. And as I said, it's, so the money has bubbles just burst in that. So all 31 remaining are going to get paid. Min cash now is $111. PLO is down to 15, so it's paying 13. So we're pretty much hand for hand in that one as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. So I've got something for you. So I'm going to a family wedding at the end of the month. Only a fairly low key affair, and the rules and regs are still lots you can and can't do or whatever. So one of the things we've been asked, this is about 20 something odd of us going, is they want some song suggestions. So they've asked everybody to send them their favorite duet, their favorite love song, and their favorite party song. And I thought, oh, that'll be easy. I've been going at this for a few days now, and I've got a short. I mean, this is not easy to do. So let me know in the chat anyway if anyone's got any suggestions for best ever duet, best ever love song, best ever party song, anything that I can add to my shortlist if I've not yet come up with with a choice. We even were trying to get a definition of what counts as a duet. And
come on! There's only one. There's only one duet that you could possibly only
really?
one. Well, it's the only one that comes to mind for me at the moment. I'm sure there are many, many more. Islands in the stream.
Oh,
that is what we are.
Well. Yeah. You wouldn't choose Hoddle and Waddle Diamond Lights?
No. I'd stay really, really quite far away from that. It doesn't even sound like a good mixer for a drink, that.
Yes, it's so there's been plenty of duets, but it is trying to find
So come on, what are you down to?
But it's I know
You've got to have two or three, right, on a short list.
I've got about 10 on the list.
Oh, come on, Lee. When is this wedding? Is it this year?
It's a couple of weeks time, so it's fine. I've got plenty of time. But it's the pressure. I said to this to my brother earlier on today. I said the pressure you're putting people under. You don't want to be putting 3 rubbish suggestions in there that then everyone has laughs at. You want to come up with somewhere where people are going to go, wow, this guy, they knows there's music. They know what they're talking about.
I can't believe you've teed this all up and you're not going to give us any rich content so that we can, if nothing else, have a little giggle at you. Come on.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of great, if you want a kind of wedding duet, I mean, you could go with something as corny as, Kylie and Jason, especially for you. I mean, you could, rattle that one out.
Especially for you.
Yeah, that is an option.
I can sing all of these, right? I'm here all night.
You could have a bit of Elton John and Kiki D.
Don't go breaking my heart. Yeah, go on.
Is that right for a wedding? I'm not 100%.
It's not a great one for a wedding. Don't go breaking my heart.
I originally wanted to, as my duet, to pick Criss Cross, Jump, but apparently Criss Cross doesn't count as a duet because they were actually a group, so that doesn't
Criss
count.
Cross, Christopher Cross. Wasn't he an individual?
Criss Cross, I'll make you jump.
Go ahead, jump. Yeah, it's not suitable. It's not suitable, Lee. It's not suitable.
That's Van Halen, I think you're thinking of. Yeah.
You're so bad at this.
Oh, see, Phil Coles is in now.
Straight in there. Iris,
the Goo Goo Dolls, Iris.
Yeah. Too highbrow for a wedding. Whoa, hold on. This is at least half of these people are Wiltshires. What are you saying? Too highbrow? What are you saying, Phil? What are you saying? He runs your quiz.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be worrying about highbrow. But actually, duets is a tough one. Didn't Ozzy Osbourne sing a duet with his daughter? I can't ever think what her name is. Kelly Osbourne.
Changes, was it?
Change. Oh, that was it.
We're
Changes.
going through changes. Oh yeah.
See,
no, you don't want to be singing that.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yes.
Only if you got Ozzy and Kelly there in person.
You can't dance at weddings at the moment. Not allowed. I don't think technically you're allowed to be singing at weddings either. At the moment, they're the rules and regs. So
you're bringing a record player. What are you doing?
it's like what's the? So you're just going for a meal and a chat, I think, and you've got tables of 6. Can't have any more than tables of 6. And of course, and all the rules could change within the next 2 weeks anyway. So it might be.
Look. When you come back next week, Lee, I want you better prepared for this, right? I want you to come back with a top 3 options in each cat.
Or by next week, I will be down to I'll be down.
You got to be close, right? So duet.
Really,
what
really
else?
difficult.
What were the other 2? So you had a party song,
love song, and a party song.
Well, love songs. I mean, where would you start with a
love
song?
It's what means something to you, isn't it? With
a
love song,
you just go to them and say, "Well, what's your song? What's your song?"
Yeah. So let's go with it. I think party songs. I mean, I think you can't go wrong with a bit of Black Lace, can you? Really, that's always a good. That gets the party going. Or Oops Upside Your Head. Something like that. Yeah.
Maybe for the groom, I'm a Barbie girl. I could see a bit of that.
Oh, Phil's come in with a good one for.
What's he got?
Freddie Mercury and Montserrat Caballé.
That was a magnificent.
That's a great.
That was a magnificent album. Le Japonais. There was so many great songs on that Barcelona album. From what was that? 1992.
Has the boss ever done any duets?
He's done a few. Yeah, he's done a few. He's done a few. He did a really nice one with Rosanne Cash, Johnny Cash's daughter.
Okay.
I can't remember what the song was, but he's done a few. Done a few over the years.
There is a Tom Jones did an entire album, duet album.
Yeah, lots of musicians do.
There's lots of stuff on there, so it's.
Cool.
It's all. So I've got a couple of weeks to hone down my.
Yeah. Well, listen.
So I don't get laughed at.
Triplin is reminded of Italy 90 when the guys had to drop song titles into all the interviews they did. I never even heard that story. I didn't know about that.
Have you not heard that? Yeah, no, I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah. And it took ages before anybody twigged what was going on.
Never knew.
I mean, there was quite a few interviews before it. Also, I think somebody in the media worked out what was happening, and so then it became a bit of a story. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Barcelona.
I do quite like the idea of Hoddle and Waddle. I think that'd be
Jimmy Nail. I tell you, listen, we're talking about the Northeast, right? We're pinning them there with Jimmy Nail and Hoddle and Waddle and stuff. Chrissy Waddle, of course. What about anything with Dire Straits? Absolutely legendary, fantastic stuff.
Yeah, well, they have done. I'm not sure how would have done.
Mark Knopfler, Romeo and Juliet. You could get a bit of that.
That's a great love song.
They've done some magnificent
songs.
That's on my list.
That is on my. I also was trying to pick songs that last about 12 minutes long because I thought that would be hilarious. Because that means like my three picks would last most of the meal. I thought would be quite entertaining to say the least.
This is the 1992 live version of blah 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 blah.
I want this remix live.
Yeah,
version.
it was 4 minutes on the record, but actually the live version stretches to 27 minutes. Each band member takes a solo. Incredible stuff.
Is my favorite. That's the one.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, could you get a bit of Meatloaf in? Do you think?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. He's dead though. He's not going to show up live, right? That would be like gone off.
Meatloaf
gone off.
Really?
I think so. Didn't he die? Somebody in the chat will tell us. Is Meatloaf gone beyond his expiry date? I think so. I thought he had.
No way. I'm going to have to check this out.
Listen,
that's going to be definitely. Because a lot's happened in the last year that you wouldn't even know.
While we're on the topic of music, right? I watched I think it was on Prime, a documentary on Prime, like in the last couple of nights, about a.
No, Meatloaf is still alive. Everybody,
is he?
So don't panic.
Is he?
Yeah.
Don't
panic. Yeah.
So his rates unfortunately have just gone up. They've gone up. They're higher than they were a minute ago. His stock has rose. We'll try and get Meatloaf. I mean, just put yourself out there. These people, right? You know at least one of these people reasonably well. And there's at least a 50% chance you like the other one. Put yourself out, yeah. What the hell are we talking about? Right, get Toya and Robert Fripp. Jesus, man.
Oh, wow.
£75 for the day, right? You get them for the day. You get burlesque and music. Incredible stuff.
That's entertainment at a wedding, isn't it? It doesn't get any better than that.
Well, all the boys are going to like it. I can tell you that for a fact. So I saw this show on Prime, and I almost don't want to give any spoilers away because it was absolutely awesome.
Oh, really?
To do with the sort of the singer. Have you ever heard of the singer Rodriguez? Be careful how you answer, because I will ask further questions if you say yes. Rodriguez.
What, is just called Rodriguez?
Yes. He does have a first name, but mostly on his albums, his 2.5 albums.
He's not the one that is Gabriel and Rodriguez, is he?
No. Magnificent guitarist.
That's a different act
It's
altogether.
incredible.
That's the guitar. The amazing.
I tell you what, talking about duets, right? Get them in there. Just doing instrumentals.
They opened for, I think might be the Foo Fighters at Wembley Stadium, and we'd got there early, and they were just ridiculously good.
Oh yeah, the skill. I've seen these guys. Incredible.
Just amazing.
Right, let's see if I can get another table up, Lee.
Yeah, we're down to 24, so we're about to have the first pay jump, which will be up to $137, and unfortunately we mentioned Phil Coles earlier on. He just missed short of the money. James Edwards has bust but picked up a min cash. So's Andy Heath, but Joseph Parsons is currently chip leader with 1.1 million. Dan Austin third in chips. Tom Bacon is 7th in chips. Dean Stafford 9th. So plenty of APAT regs that we can still see.
Fantastic
in this main event.
Hopefully we'll get a pretty decent final table. That would be
PLO
awesome.
is down to 15, and Tom Bacon's in that as well. So he's currently still going in both main events. One of the few places. Gordon MacArthur is in that. He's in that PLO. Des. It's not good. But again, we have a saviour. Fourth in chips at the moment is one Brian Yates. Brian could knock them all.
Come on, Brian.
We could do that. Can we drop Brian a text? Tell him he needs to target.
Drop him a text. I'll drop him a 20. Yeah. We'll drop him just a bag of 20s. It's still going to be cheaper, right? A small bag of 20s.
They're two off the money. If he could bust Gordon before the cash, that'd be good. So Phil Cole says he had Ace King against the Ace Queen of Pete Wigglesworth. He says Pete Wigglesworth runs like God, whereas Phil runs like Jordan Henderson.
Mr. Wigglesworth, wasn't he a shadow on our bank as well? Wasn't he a shadow on the bank? Has he disappeared into the abyss now a bit?
He's had a couple of weeks. I'm not even sure that he might not have played for a couple of weeks. I said to you he was all full of the joys of spring.
That's right. Yeah.
For the
Excellent.
past couple of months.
I
So
like that.
his focus has perhaps been elsewhere. So
So
he is
listen.
currently on step 3 at the moment, Peters. So.
Oh, it's not bad. He can find his way back up to the top of the pile without question. So Rodriguez, Lee, right? It's insane, right? So this guy wrote this album. Well, he was found on the street, right? I think he was doing a bit of busking. 2 New York producers. This was late 60s. 2 New York producers found this guy, thought, oh, he's got a really nice voice. Very Dylan-like, right? Very, very Dylan-like. But of Mexican persuasion. I think his parents came across the border and, he was in Detroit. So they found him in Detroit. They recorded an album. It did rubbish. They recorded another album. It did rubbish. He did a few songs for a third album, and then he was dropped. And he went back to being, builder and stuff like that. But he was doing some live shows. So it transpires that these albums were bigger sellers than the Rolling Stones in South Africa. Rodriguez.
Well, only in South Africa.
Only in South Africa.
Okay.
Everybody in South Africa knew Rodriguez. Everybody knew the lyrics to every song.
But he didn't know this.
He didn't know this, no. Well, but I just need to get to the high point of the story.
Okay.
So, obviously, he's just incredible longevity in South Africa, but nobody knew anything about him. There was only the album cover picture. There was no press release. There was nothing. No interviews. There was nothing. So word reached them in South Africa, the entire country, that apparently Rodriguez had done a concert in 1972 or something, and he wasn't playing well, and he took out a gun and he shot himself, killed himself on the stage, right? So they were discussing this on the documentary, that they were so shocked that Rodriguez had committed suicide, and that was it. It was gone. But the albums, they were an essential album, right? Every house you went into in South Africa had the Beatles' Abbey Road. They had one other extremely well-known album, and Rodriguez's Can You Catch It or whatever it is. That was it. Like it was up there. And then other people said, no, he didn't die. He didn't die like that. What happened, in fact, that he did a concert and something happened and he covered himself with petrol towards the end of the show, and he set himself alight and he burned there on the stage. That's how he died. So, and the legend just went on, right? And of course, no more music, but this guy's album still sold and sold and sold in South Africa. And one journalist decided, you know what, I'm going to dig it. I need to find out how he died. I need to find out, why he didn't succeed. I need to find out why nobody's heard of him in America. Like, nobody's heard of this guy. He's the biggest selling artist in South Africa. Nobody's heard of him in America. So, he starts, this was just 2 or 3 years ago, he starts, drilling down into, well, that was the record company that was on the album, and that was a backing company for that record company. So he's trying to follow the money, right? Where was the money going to? And eventually he got to speak to somebody, and he interviewed him, and, he said it was the greatest interview. We're going through all of these questions. Why did he write certain lyrics? Why did he do this? And he said, then we came to that big old question, how did he kill himself? And why did he kill himself? So the guy said, what do you mean? He's not dead at all. He's working on a building site in Detroit. And the guy, what? He's alive? So they got this guy and they brought him to South Africa. And he sold out 6 concerts, 6 25,000-seater concerts in a row, made a ton of money. It was just the most insane story.
So was it the promoters or somebody just fed this story to help sales?
Oh, well, I suppose.
Or was it just happened accidentally?
It's the classic. No. I don't think there's some promote. They didn't know the albums were selling in South Africa. Nobody knew.
Right, okay.
And nobody knew because they didn't think the albums were selling anywhere. So we never got a straight answer to the question, where was the money going? So I think there was a suggestion that there was a hell of a lot of bootlegging of his stuff in South Africa.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, if nobody would have questioned it or worried about it because
because
nobody's
nobody knew.
questioned
Nobody in the
us.
States knew.
Yeah.
But this guy in 1972, 73 stopped making music because he didn't sell any albums. He thought it was pretty good. He liked his stuff. He thought he was good.
Wow.
They said he was like
That's
Elvis.
that's on Prime, yeah.
Prime,
Did you say?
absolutely sensational.
Yeah.
They said it was like Elvis coming back from the dead. And when you see all of these young people, I mean, you know, teenagers, kids, you know, middle-aged adults, older adults in South Africa, these concerts, they're practically crying when this guy comes on the stage. It's like he said, it's like Elvis has come back from the dead. That is exactly what's happening here. It's magnificent.
So did he end up making any money to
No,
kind of
no.
carry on doing it? Or
They say he made a bit of money, but he gave it all away to family and friends, and he just went back to, you know, working on the building sites, and you know, he was a man of the people, that sort of thing. He tried to run some political campaigns on a couple of occasions, running for mayor of Detroit, but nobody ever voted for him. And there was he was interviewed on the show, and so too were some of the work guys that he was working with, you know, really sensible guys. They were saying, well, you know, he would tell us, I'm big in South Africa, and he would show us these pictures and stuff, and we'd all go, they're photoshopped. There's just no way you've been to South Africa, you've played in front of 25,000 people on 6 consecutive shows, and then you're here sweeping up like building materials on a building site. There's just no way.
Greg Mawson's asking, is Meatloaf still alive working construction in Detroit?
I think he might be. I'm sure he's died. I think we just need to do another check on the Meatloaf, please.
Do you think Rodriguez can build patios? I need a patio done. It's doing my
What's it to go with your sand pit? You can't build a patio now?
It's doing my head in trying to find someone to do it. I don't know what it is with trade people at the moment. I think they're just super busy, and I've got more work than they can actually deal with. Yeah, trying to get quotes for the past couple of weeks to get a patio built is
I'm sorry, mate. No, nothing smaller than a house at the moment.
It's just ridiculous at the moment. So you don't think Rodriguez could do that now? No?
I suspect he might try and turn his hand to it, but probably might stop halfway through, like the famous third album.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
But it's interesting, when he turned up in South Africa, though, they obviously invited him, and he went with his 2 daughters, who I suppose were in their 40s at that time. He was like, you know, late 60s, 70. And she said, like, when they arrived and they got off the plane, there was these like limos pulling up. I said, we were trying to walk around them because we didn't want to get in the way of anybody. The limos were for them, right? So they eventually took them to meet whoever had invited them over to South Africa, and obviously paid for their trip and stuff, and set up these concerts. And the guy had turned up with his guitar. He had no band, nothing like that. So the group who were booked to like be the opening act for him suddenly became his band. And they started asking themselves the questions: this guy hasn't played for like 50 years. Maybe, you know, who knows what the hell we're going to get? Like, maybe he can't play, maybe he can't sing. Is he going to sound like himself? Because nobody going to these concerts believed that it was him. They thought it was like going to be some sort of just setup thing, until they heard his voice. His voice was like, boom, exactly as it was in the 70s. So that's a great story. Good, feel-good story, you know.
Excellent. That's all good. Yeah, the money, we are in the money in the Omaha. We're down to 12 now.
Awesome.
So well
20.
done to all of you that made the money. Stefan Fisher is hanging on for dear life there. He's got about 8 bigs at the moment, but he's made it into the cash, which is what matters. And we're down to 20 at the moment, so we're only 4 off the No Limit Hold'em finishing for the day. And looks like we're going to have an all-in and a call here. Mark and Anthony is all in with King 9 against Queen Jack.
Oh, it's the Jack.
Look, and there comes the King. So Marc Antoine will get a double up through lock.
Now, Lee, listen, we've got some sort of bad news, really. And I think we're both disappointed about this. It's just the way it's bloody turned out. We're not going to be covering the final table of the PLO or the main tomorrow evening. Can you tell us why? Which we both just twigged about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, no, it's an unfortunate thing. So yes, it's been a funny old week. So so last week we were all scheduled up to be recording episode 11 of The Orbit with Robbie, and an absolutely awesome lineup of guests. And unfortunately, for the first time, we had a couple of people that had to pull out on the day, literally with a few hours' notice. So we took the view that we would just reschedule. So So Robbie managed to get everybody arranged for this coming Monday, and I said, yeah, that's great. We'll get on with that, without even thinking that it was a championship weekend. And so we're kind of double booked. And unfortunately, we will be recording episode 11 of the Orbit tomorrow night.
Can we at least tell the guys two names?
Yeah, you go for it. I mean,
No, I'm not going to tell them. You got to tell them, right?
Do you want to really do both? Do you want to really do both names?
Well, I tell you what we'll do. We won't give any names, but we will say at least two of the people that's going to be on the Orbit are main event World Series of Poker main event winners. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's a fair. That's a nice.
You do it
way
that way, right? That's
a
tease, isn't it? That's a typical APAT
that's a better way of doing it.
tease. Yeah. So we didn't want to reschedule them again, I have to say.
Yeah. So, but really looking forward to recording that tomorrow night, and can't wait for you guys to get to watch. 'Cause I think it's going to be a cracker. I really do think it's on a really interesting subject, with a really great panel, and I think there'll be lots of views and stories and opinions on things. So I think it'll be well worth a watch when we get that released.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
Lee, you won't have seen this image before, but I want you to do a bit of sleuthing here, right? I want you to try and tell me what the message is, right? So we are working on another little poker format.
Striplin's just asking, is it Andy Black?
I don't think Andy won the main, did he? He was leading with 5 left in 2005, but then he slightly undercooked it. I think I might have helped his case back then. But anyway, you might have seen this image, but tell me, Lee, what is going on in this image? I have to go full screen on it. Let's see if we can do this. Right, so this is for a new poker format that we're working on, a little show, streaming, and we did a little pilot with Dan Alston and young Steve Roderick last week, which actually worked very, very well. What is this picture? What is this picture showing you, Lee?
It's cryptic, I'm assuming.
It's a bit cryptic, yeah. It's about playing poker, obviously. Well, is it obvious?
So we've got a mouse trap.
Yeah.
A stack of house of cards.
Yeah.
It's falling.
Yeah.
We've got a is that a crystal ball?
It is, yeah.
We've got a UFO.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got some traffic cones.
We have. We've got a chair, obviously, as well, and some chips.
Yeah, well,
that represents the player. That's you, right?
Yeah, with chips. Yes, obviously, yes, yeah.
So, what's the story? What's the story?
I'm at a loss.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll leave it to the guys. If any of the guys in the chat can come up with any of the thinking behind why those objects are there, we'd love to hear.
But how did the pilot go, Des? Did you enjoy that?
I did. We had a lot of fun with it. Let's see if I can get us back on, and then I'll tell you about the pilot. There we go. We had a lot of fun with it. We learned, one of the things that we learned is that having a really good poker coach and having a really good poker player together is actually quite difficult to manage, because you end up coaching during an event. So that was really interesting to learn.
But you had Rodders and Dan, so
yeah.
How did that work then?
they're both at the top of the amateur game, right? Both very capable lads.
No,
it was really, but the thing that got me was it was just really interesting to just sit and listen to them talking through hands and stuff like that. But, we took bits away that I thought, right, well, that'll work well. Maybe that won't work as well. And that's why you do a pilot, right? But Absolutely. It was great for the guys to help us, for sure.
We've said that, we were lucky enough to have Dan on a couple of the shows during the World Championships. And
awesome.
And just incredibly good. Just as we say that, we, as Loic busts, I think it was, check who I think. Yes, it was Marc-Antoine in 17th, which is we are down to 16 players now in the main event, which means that is paused for the night. And those 16 players, it's going to be the chip
Wow.
leader is going to be Francisco de Paulo Pereira Fortes Nunes, I think, from Brazil.
Wow.
Valentin Emling from Germany will be second, and Lorwend Himo from Sweden will be third. Plenty of UK players in that. Dean Stafford is fourth in chips, Dan Howson fifth. James Sathiakari is in sixth. Joseph Parsons seventh. Tom Bacon's made it through. So all of those 16 players will be returning tomorrow at 7 o'clock to play that out to its conclusion. They're all guaranteed $137 at the moment, but there's over $2,000 up top. We're getting only 2 off the final table in the PLO day, so it might well be worth just jumping to the closer, because that's down to 10 players at the moment. So we're very close to a final table on that, and we can watch that.
There we go.
When it gets to final table, so because we're only a couple off the PLO stopping as well. Tom Bacon is still in that one as well, so could be making 2-day twos. Brian Yates second in chips. Mark Roberts is in there. Gordon MacArthur has made the money in that one as well.
So sorry, Lee. What did you want to jump to? Which tourney?
The closer.
Not the PLO.
No, because that's going to be 2 tables playing hand for hand for a final table. So we'll jump to the closer because it only needs. I think the closer needs to lose 1 more player, and it's on the final table for the night. So we'll
let's
bring the closer up. But obviously we are at 5 to the hour anyway, Des. So everybody's on a break because we're at that point of the night at the moment. So yeah, Stefan says just bust the PLO. Another good run though, Stefan. You seem to regularly cash these championship events when we see you for the weekend to play those. Another nice cash. Even nicer if you manage to satellite in from $5.50. It's an even nicer way to win your $130 if you manage to do that.
There we go. Closer it is.
Excellent stuff.
So what else do I have for you on my list, seeing as we are set now? Big boxing fight tonight, Lee. Fight might be too strong a word. I think that's tonight. Logan Paul and Floyd Money Mayweather.
Yeah, I've not really been following, so I don't really know much about Logan Paul. I understand that it's not boxing as you normally expect it to be. What's Logan Paul's?
He's a YouTuber. I've never watched any of his YouTube stuff. I think he's had a couple of fights before. I think he certainly lost against KSI. That was a big old entertainment event. I think a year ago. No, I didn't see it. So I don't quite know how this guy's managed to get himself into a ring with Floyd Mayweather, who of course retired with a 50-0 win record, and has been quite the legend. I think it's highly unlikely that Logan Paul can catch him with a punch, but it would be destructive if he did.
We're seeing more and more of these boxing bouts, which appear to be more of an entertainment.
A bit like wrestling, isn't it? To a degree.
Than it is actually. But I mean, I've never been a massive boxing fan, but for anyone that is out there, I mean, do you feel it kind of degrades the sport of boxing with these fights going on, or is it just, can people just take them as pure entertainment and it is what it is? And it's like you get the crossover ones, didn't you? So is it McGregor, the UFC fighter, was he was boxing, so you get it across these different fighting genres. I don't know whether it's kind of muddies the waters or whether it's just, do the purists not like it?
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, my thoughts, at least with McGregor, you had a guy at the time who was, pretty well respected as a UFC fighter. He would have been, match fit, as we'd say in football. He'd know how to get himself fit for an event like that. He fought Mayweather and lost pretty heavily. But this other guy's a YouTuber. He has no sort of fighting experience outside of, what he's done from an entertainment point of view recently. So it does seem an odd one to me, but, it does have a little bit of the old wrestling, entertainment, pizzazz. It's certainly bringing a huge new audience in. And I guess
where are the bats they fighting? Is it?
I've no idea, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I genuinely no interest. But
I'm assuming if they put it on, it must be somewhere where people are allowed in, and or maybe they make enough from the pay-per-view to not really worry whether anyone's actually in the venue.
Oh yeah, it'll be a big pay-per-view event, I'm sure. Yeah, I'd have thought so. So that's happening, I think, tonight. If not tonight, it's tomorrow night. So certainly in the next 24, 48 hours. Watched an old movie last night. I actually paid like £1.50 to see this on Prime. Can you believe it? I paid extra. Good Morning Vietnam.
Oh wow!
Old classic that. I haven't seen it since I was a lad. Enjoyed it again, I have to say. Good movie.
I watched Rambo: Last Blood.
Last Blood.
Of the week. Yeah.
Did that come after First Blood?
Yeah, very much, very much so.
Didn't even know it was a thing.
Very watchable. Just appeared on Sky Movies.
Okay.
Actually, quite enjoyable as a watch. I'm assuming that will be the end of the whole thing. And but sometimes these films, years down the line, it's like we'll just chuck another one out there, and it's pretty dross. But actually, it was quite watchable.
Oh, it was good. Oh. We didn't talk about Eurovision at all, Lee.
No, we didn't. No,
we missed out on a major social event. Did you see any of it?
Oh, watched the whole lot, Des. Yeah,
I thought it was better than 99% of them are. I thought there was some decent music in there for a change.
Yeah, I guess from a UK point of view, it's kind of, you get to the point of asking the question: does it matter?
Why bother?
Who we put up? Is it just gonna? Is it? I didn't think the UK song was that bad. I didn't think it was anywhere near the greatest on the night, but we were bigging him up, or certainly the media in the UK were, as being a really nice guy, and she seemed to enjoy himself, but it's a tad embarrassing, isn't it? Really.
I really liked.
A single point,
I really enjoyed, Graham Norton, just as we were approaching that switch, when you go from the formal jury voting to the public voting. He said, watch now, it'll all change. No, Britain will go first, and we'll move around, and it'll all change. Britain, 0 votes. Oh, shit.
Luckily, we weren't the only ones to get 0 votes.
Germany, next up, 0 votes. Oh, my God, they're being brutal. And
it did feel like it was just, it was a bit
Italy. Italy took all the votes. So that's Luca's mates, right? Just doing a bit of smoking or sniffing or whatever it was they might have been up to there.
They don't do drugs.
Got kids. 550 votes. The public loved it.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good show though. Actually, quite enjoyable. And also, I thought to be able to put something like that on, considering what we've been through in the past 12, 18 months was pretty impressive. And of course, the other side to that is what's going on in Tokyo at the moment, where they still really don't want the Olympics to happen. It's amazing.
No,
and actually, I heard today that the British athletics team, they said it's the most open it's ever been for who's actually even going to make it. And apparently, Mo Farah's not qualified.
He was like 25 seconds off of the qualifying time in his last run, which was a couple of days ago. He wasn't even the first Brit to finish in the 10,000 meters. No, he hasn't ran a 10,000 meters race for quite some time. He will get another opportunity or two, but it didn't show enough by all accounts.
No, to be fair, he has pretty much just a marathon running, hasn't he, since his last gold. So I wonder whether that's it was just I can understand him wanted to go and try going to it. I don't think it's that easy to just go from your focus on marathon running to all of a sudden just back to doing 10,000.
But he's a 4-time Olympic gold medalist, so and he's known for running different distances. So you assume he's going to be brilliantly flexible. But I think he's 37, so it's like that's a pretty decent age.
You think Jesse's let himself go a little bit during lockdown?
Well, it's all of that Celebrity Big Brother stuff. He was in there. What was it? Celebrity Celeb Get Me Out of Here. It's like in there eating beans around a campfire, whatever it is they do on that show. Probably didn't help.
Do you any good, can it?
Probably didn't help. Mr. Alston is out there. So he said the fight is at 4 a.m. £17 Sky pay-per-view. Sounds like a discounted price. That already been declared an unrecognised fight. No judges and 8 rounds. Bit of a joke, really. So there you are. That's pure entertainment.
So it really is just entertainment then.
Yeah, but I suspect Mayweather might try and, put him down.
Well, why not? I mean,
the cheek of the guy,
But do you think there's even a case of if what Dan's saying there, so it's no judges, it's unrecognised, it's only going to be 8 rounds. Would you imagine they've had a conversation beforehand and go, right, we need to give the viewers their money's worth? I mean, nothing worse than him putting him down in the first round and going, cheers for your money, guys, thanks very much. I would imagine if they want these things to have any sort of longevity in the eyes of the viewers, it's got to be some sort of entertainment. So it's like whether wrestling, isn't it? It needs to have a bit of
but whether you get there might be a card of fights before it, for example. Who knows? But if there are people betting on it, and there's nearly always people betting on these things, then a softly approach will not be appreciated by a lot of people.
I can't believe there'll be a sports book on it. Surely, if there's no judges and there's no,
I don't know.
That's wide open, isn't it?
Let's go to Sky Bet. Let's see if it's
to abuse, isn't it? That's wide open to abuse. If you do that, there was a bit of a hoo-ha on Twitter this week. Obviously, there's a couple of there's a high stakes game cash heads up going on at the moment, isn't there? With Bill Perkins and is it Landon Tice on ACR, and there was some it was all kind of kicking off because. Certain bets were being put on by certain people that were, part of the site that were hosting it, and isn't that all good? And it's
wowzer. I can't show you that. Can I show you this?
So Dan's saying yes, Mayweather is 8-1 on, and Paul is 9-2.
Yeah, I've got.
So. But I mean, how do you bet on something like that when you know very well that surely it's just open to minute, and if there's no judges that it's recognised, who's ever going to come back and question it?
I know, but there is. I mean, it's So I've got Mayweather at 1.14. Paul is at 5, and you've got round betting. So Mayweather is 5. Is at 5s to win in the first round, at 7s to win in the second. So I mean. He's a hot favourite to win in the first round, Floyd Mayweather.
But again, I'm not a massive boxing fan, but surely for anyone out there, do you, would you bet on a fight that's quite clearly could be manipulated for entertainment purposes?
I'm guessing the answer to that is yes, simply because there's, there was the first thing that I hit on Sky Bet.
Yeah, people clearly are. Which seems crazy to me, but I guess that's what people want to do, and there's no comeback on it. Dan's saying you don't, so I'm assuming that's you don't bet on it then.
Yeah, but clearly people are.
People are. Yeah.
I mean, why would you even spend 17 quid to watch it? But presumably tens of thousands of people are going to do that. Globally.
I mean, it would, to me, it would be like betting on a testimonial football match, where that they're gonna, there's a bit of fun being had, and this player might get substituted, and this might happen, and that might happen, and it's all been scripted to be more entertainment than football normally is, because that's what you normally get with a testimonial. It feels a bit like that to me, and you wouldn't bet a penny on
well, I certainly would. I certainly wouldn't bet on it, but wow, it is there.
Yeah, well, clearly people are, and I'm just very surprised that the betting companies are putting a book on it. But that's the same can be said for lots of things. I mean, as I say, again, mentioning the high stakes heads up game, that's one of many that have gone on, and the side action that goes on in these things sometimes is more than the players can win or lose in the heads up, and you kind of do wonder, well, they don't always play them with cards up so you can see exactly what's happening. It's these things are wide open, and a lot of those bets are just kind of private bets between
Yeah.
individuals, isn't it? It's it's a
so
crazy world.
three rather big sports stories that have broken in the last few days. One of them nicely touches on this. I don't know the tennis player's name, but there was a lady tennis player who has been is starting to be questioned about. She's a female doubles player.
Russian player, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't know her name.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of the tennis, but she there were a 6-figure bet on
It was a particular game where
she was serving,
she served 2 double faults in the game,
and hit a net. So it was like conceded 3 points there straight away.
And the betting company spotted some very abnormal bets being put on in play, I believe, in that particular one.
Listen, MacArthur is out there just pulling the piss, Lee. He's pulling the piss. He's just said, just wanted to say thanks again for the date, guys. He's pulling the piss. We're giving him all the money, and he's just pulling the piss, Lee. What are we going to do?
I did say to him during the week, I said, if you possibly could stop winning, Des's Ferrari fund would be very grateful.
This has cost me a carpet. At least a carpet. A carpet. Speaking of Ferraris and carpets and stuff like that, did you see the end of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix today?
I didn't, but
it went madly for the last 4 laps. I understand
it literally was a kind of a 2-lap like go-kart session.
It was like a turbo poker tournament, really short. But a lot happened.
I saw Ace tweet, can we have a 2-lap race every week, please?
Yeah, seriously, do watch or try and catch some highlights. It was a really good race. I thought it would be processional. I never seem to remember Azerbaijan as being a good race, but actually there was tons of passing. And there were some problems with tyres. And that led to incidents, and then there was a major, sort of incident with 2 laps to go. So it was a pretty entertaining one. So Mr. Calls is saying Yana Sazakova, I think. So we've heard the issue with her and the betting. Of course, there was another big story in tennis since we had our last show. Naomi Osaka, second-ranked women's tennis player, I think, who has decided to withdraw from her media duties at the French Open as a result of mental issues. Fair enough, but the organisers effectively made her withdraw from the tournament in its entirety. So I thought that was quite a big story, because lots of sports stars, whether they like it or not, are required to do.
We've just got to the final table in the closer, so we're down to 7.
They are required to do media duty. So what did you make of that?
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? It comes with the territory, I guess. Is there's an expectation that if you're going to be competing in these competitions for the prize money, that there's an expectation that you will partake in the media duties. You might not necessarily enjoy it, but it's part and parcel of the career that you choose. If you want to play tennis professionally, it's expected of you.
Yeah, but Lee,
it's her choice, obviously, to not do that. But if that comes with repercussions, well, so be it.
I'm going to be more sympathetic to her. I mean, I'd like, at the end of the day, all right, so whether she's facing questions that are hitting her confidence or whatever it might be that she was unhappy with, you have to try and find a solution for it, right? She's unhappy. We have to be a little bit sympathetic to that suggestion.
No, but a lot of sports stars these days get media training, or how media training is available. They can it's either provided within their their management, or they can go out and find it themselves if they want to, of how to deal with these things. And that's the disappointing thing, I guess, if she's felt that there's not been enough support for her to deal with.
I doubt that's the case.
Questions that come. Well,
I doubt that.
Why else? So why else then? I mean, it's a case of I just don't have masses of sympathy for it.
As I understand it, she, she was facing questions continually from journalists that, her record on clay isn't good and she doesn't stand a chance, that sort of stuff. And apparently it was impacting her confidence. Now, I don't know if that's a spin, if that is at all the reason. I don't know. But at the end of the day, what they're looking for from those interviews is publicity and awareness. Ultimately, that's what it comes back to, right? Sponsors getting their brands out there and stuff like that. There's got to be other ways you could do it. I mean, you don't have to put her in front of a room of 20 journalists. I mean, you could do Instagram
the problem is when
stories.
When you're at the top end of the game, that's what happens. I mean, another tennis story broke today in. I saw that Roger Federer had got to the 4th round of the French Open and just decided that he was going to stop.
Was he injured or something? Or
well, the spin that he was giving, it wasn't a specific injury. He was just saying that you've got to listen to your body, and this wasn't the tournament that he was necessarily focused on. Wimbledon is what he's focused on this year.
That's hard.
And so and I thought, well, that felt a little bit disrespectful to whoever he beat in the 3rd round, for example, who he's beaten and then gone actually. So then I'm assuming now whoever he's got in the 4th round just gets a bye because he's basically withdrawn. I would much rather have seen whoever he beat in the 3rd round get a chance to play in the 4th round. It seemed that it just felt a little bit, didn't feel the right thing to do. I'm
going to assume it was in response to his body's response to that 3rd round match, right? He come out probably felt worse than perhaps he thought acceptable.
And to be honest, he could have just made up an injury and gone, oh, I've done whatever and I'm out. But he's actually been honest and just gone, I just don't think I want to.
I'm sort of less. I'm very much less sympathetic to that one, I have to say. The other one, of course, the other big story that broke in sport over the last few days was the golfer John Ram, who was the leader in the clubhouse, right? The PGA event.
Horrible.
Right, leader in the clubhouse after 3 rounds. And just as he walked off.
Was he 5 shots clear, I think?
Yeah, a 5-6 shot lead. 1.6 million up top. And the minute he walks off the course, I think he's still walking. And they say, Gov, you got to leave. You've got the old COVID. He tested positive. And crikey. So I had to withdraw. 1.6 million up top, a PGA title. I think he was very upset.
I mean, was there no way he could have just played the last round on his own, which is effective? I mean, to be honest, let's be honest, golf as a game is, I mean, if you're going to pick a sport where you could self-isolate.
No, they suggested that to him.
Golf is pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, they suggested that to him. They said, look, play around on your own, just play at a different course. I think that's what they said.
Oh, really?
Be on your way, mate. Right, don't look back. Don't shut the door as you leave. Just keep going.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was complete, as Phil is saying there in the old chat box, asymptomatic. Right, no symptoms at all. Ouch.
That's pretty brutal, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, talking about brutal, G-Mac's back in the chat box. He said, "Sorry, I had to switch the sound off."
What does he want now?
We had to switch the sound off when we started talking about the GP. He was about to go and watch it. I hope it didn't spoil it. Well, to be honest, I don't think I gave anything away other than drama, right? Drama. But I think Des's Ferrari plans are safe and sound. Well, that's he's got more confidence from my Ferrari plans than I do. That's all that I can say.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. He's on the final table of the PLO for tomorrow, so he's going to pick up a few more points.
He sat there in his pipe and slippers laughing at us.
He's had our entire budget for a couple of months.
Yeah. Oh, well, I tell you what, I couldn't believe that Mick Schumacher won that Grand Prix today. Incredible to see the young lad back. Chip off the old block, as they say. Mick Schumacher, eh? Won it by 700 metres. Incredible stuff.
There you go. But enjoy the Grand Prix though, Gordon. Hope it's yeah. I watch it to the end. Honestly, it'll be worth it. Fine.
That was a good race. Good race, I'll tell you.
So this we're down to 4 already in this this closer always absolutely flies by. So
bloody hell.
Alex Rongen from the Netherlands is currently comfortable chip leader, got more than the other 3 put together. Patrick Michaud from Canada is the second in chips at the moment. Third is Anthony Clancy from the UK, and Alexandru Badra from the UK fourth. But yeah, the chip leader at the moment has got a whopping amount of bounties already collected, $116 in bounties already done. And to be honest, if it can clear up the rest of these, Des, along with the $220 for finishing first, is going to more than double that with their bounty finish, definitely.
Big finish.
Yeah, that is for sure. So I saw Aston Villa first to splash some cash this summer.
Ward-Prowse yet?
The guy from Norwich.
Who've they bought from Norwich?
The winger, yeah. What's his name?
Budia. Boomdia. Yeah.
33 million. Does that suggest Grealish is definitely off? Or do you think that's them genuinely investing?
I've no idea. I've no idea. I think Grealish is a great player. Would love to see him at Liverpool. Would absolutely love to see him.
I haven't watched loads of him this season, but I caught the second half of the England game, and yeah, I mean, he seems as comfortable a player in an England shirt as I've seen for a long time. He's
very
got a bit of swagger about him, and just
he's very direct, very incisive.
Yeah, give me the ball and I'll go at them.
Yeah,
I mean, it's and you don't see that very often. I mean, I was thinking, crikey, we look great playing for United next season. But I think Villa are asking for a lot of money, I think. So.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see next weekend. It's next Sunday that England open their campaign, I think.
So, yeah.
Because he's got a wealth of forward talent available to him, Southgate, right? It'd be really interesting to see whether he starts with Rashford and Sterling. Because arguably, neither of them are in top form, whereas there are other players around there, Foden, for example, who are absolute Grealish, who are absolutely in form.
I'll tell you, I had to laugh. I think Lee Dixon was doing the co-commentary this afternoon, and his first statement was, well, I think Rashford's very much played himself into the starting 11 with his first half performance.
Yeah,
right, okay. He says, and obviously Sancho's had a great season, and Kane will be back for the start, who said, but I'm looking at my starting 11, and I'm definitely playing Grealish and Foden. I'm thinking,
so he's playing 6 up front, is he?
I was going to say,
that's 5 at least.
Whoever was doing the comms kind of went, so what have you just got? What, Stones at the back? Is that pretty much it? But it is that kind of situation, isn't it? It is really England are spoiled for options forward, and if he can find the right combination that really clicks, really clicks. I thought Tony Trippier, that's about right. Trippier came on for the second half. I hadn't realised how good his dead ball for corners and stuff. There's rumour that he might be coming to United.
Saw that
next season, and that will be an interesting one because he's good cover for left back and right back. But suggesting
that Wan-Bissaka might be trained into centre back.
I don't necessarily think. Although he's
interesting.
I think that if the view is that he can't, going forward is his weakness. I mean, most people will say that as a 1v1 defender, he's arguably. Certainly in the top 3 in the.
You're not going to bring
League.
Trippier in from a La Liga winning team to be a backup to Luke Shaw.
I get the feeling he's kind of. It's a case of I think he's probably he's won out there. He's done what he went out there to try and do, and fancies to come home. I mean, he's obviously a Manchester lad, so that's the rumor anyway. It certainly would be great cover. I don't think Telles has worked as cover. It's been very disappointing. I think Telles came in with everybody saying, and he scored all these goals, but he was the penalty taker. So it doesn't really count as much. He's never really done it, but it has certainly driven Shaw on, and Shaw looks a different player now.
He does.
For United.
Yeah.
But Wan-Bissaka's not really had any pressure on him. So I'm wondering whether Trippier coming in might just apply that pressure and would be good cover for both left back and right back. So I think it'd be a good sign if we could pick him up for 15 mil, something like that. 15, 20 mil. He's 30 now. Great. Get a good 3-4 years out of him.
I'd just be surprised if he'd go for it. get it's Man United and stuff. Absolutely get that. But if you're down to the last 2 or 3 years of your career, at the top level, do you want to, potentially like end up playing 10, 15 games a season?
I guess it depends how he looks at it. I mean, I think he played pretty much every game that was available when he was available for Madrid, because obviously he had that ban for betting, didn't he?
Yeah.
Earlier on in the year. But he played about 35 or so games.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like
it's whether he feels, I don't know, was that a one-off for Atletico? Real Madrid and Barcelona going to come back stronger next year and not look like they're going to do it,
Yeah, I mean, I could see him moving. I could definitely see that. It's just, whether he'd want to move without being sort of guaranteed first team football, I think would have to be a question. I mean, would a guy like that go to Spurs or go to, maybe a non-trophy winning team, but be guaranteed first team football and on the same money? Possibly.
Yeah.
We'll see.
See, Tom Bacon's in the chat saying, Grealish to win the free kicks and James Ward-Prowse to take them.
Yeah, it's a good plan. It's a good plan.
Grealish. That was suggested in commentary is the amount of times. Is Grealish the most fouled player in the Premier League? I think he was
by a significant margin.
Yeah, and James Ward-Prowse I'm amazed a bigger. No disrespect to Southampton, who is obviously a club. I lived in Southampton for a long, long time. I am amazed that a bigger club has not come in and decided, what that guy can do with from dead ball positions, and he runs and he really works hard in midfield as well. It's not as if it's a case of he's a specialist player and that's all he can do. He works very, very well in the centre of the park. I'm amazed a bigger club.
Apparently, Villa are heavily in for him.
Yeah.
I mean, Villa on occasion, they've looked pretty damn good. Whether they can kick on again next season, but if they're looking for players like James Ward-Prowse, then they're certainly looking in the right spaces.
So Triplin's in the chat saying, about Trippier. Yeah, not sure. He's just won the league and not sure he'll leave for no guaranteed first team. Simon Lawler says, he falls over the most for sure.
He wins the free kicks. He wins the free kicks.
Grealish, yeah, so...
and pens, Wow. Yeah, I think it's going
to be it's going to be an interesting summer because the Euros has just creeped round so quick. I think it starts on Friday is just quite scary, really. Doesn't feel like there's any time at all. And there's a lot of clubs out there looking for managers or coaches. There's a lot of clubs out there looking to strengthen and rebuild. And there are players that are talking about wanting to move. So the summer is going to be incredible. And before you know it, we're going to be is it the 14th of August, I think, and the new season starts?
Has it been announced yet? Dan's out there saying, there's more than one country from the home nations. We've already discussed Wales. We've been there, man. They were the first country we talked about.
We already chatted about Wales. We haven't mentioned Scotland, who I think quietly might
2 wins in a row now,
well.
quietly. And that draw with the Netherlands. So it's about as good a pre-tourney phase as they might have expected, really.
Yeah, I definitely think they're in with a shout. No, we were chatting about Wales earlier on, Dan. I'm not. I wasn't speaking very very highly.
We sang a passionate bread of heaven, Dan. I can't believe you missed it.
We did. Yeah. As Des pointed out, though, quite rightly, if you can get 2 results in the group stages, even a win and a draw might well be enough.
Yeah.
And then get a bit of momentum. Well, you never know in the knockout stages what you potentially could do. Just even in the pre-tournament friendlies, we've not looked great. We haven't looked as if we're firing. Bale's had an in and out season, whereas 4 years ago Bale was absolutely on fire.
I think that's okay though. I think it'll be different once the tournament starts. I think the crowd behind them.
Think we've got youngsters that can could just step up and do it. Who aren't necessarily even getting a game in their club. I mean, take Neco Williams for example. Perfect example. Des can't get into your team, yet is a starter in the Welsh nationals team.
Difficult.
It's just a crazy situation to be in, and obviously we're picking players from championship teams and sometimes even further afield than that, and it is. Yeah, we're never going to win. We're never going to smash game. Although in saying that, 2016, and we had a couple of absolute, corking games. But more often than not, we're nicking games by the odd goal.
Fine though. That's
being,
in a
being
tournament.
strong
That's
at the
fine.
back, being strong at the back and nicking a goal. Well, I'll take that if we can. If we can do that, that would be a result. But as I said, Dan, earlier on in the show, I never thought, if you'd have said to me 10 years ago, if we could get Wales to a major championship once in my lifetime, that would be great. And that's happened, and we've done it again. 4 years on is a superb performance. Whether we've got the momentum and the depth in squad to develop on as a nation. But then again, it wasn't that long ago that Belgium were, nothing much of a squad, and all of a sudden, they got this crop of players that came through all at the same time and are absolute world beaters. You look at the Belgian team from 15, 20 years ago, and you'd have said, wasn't really anything. They didn't have any world class players, and all of a sudden, you can just get a crop of players that do it. Ireland are going through that phase, aren't they, at the moment, where it's just not kind of happening.
I picked up on a YouTube video going back a few weeks ago from, it was like qualifying for the 1982 World Cup, and Ireland were drawn in a group with France, Belgium, Holland, and Cyprus. And I remember that whole qualifying period very well, because I was like a kid, just at the right age for it. And they showed the games that they were not a bad team back then. They had Jan Keulemans and Gerrits, and they actually lots of well-known players for the time. The Dutch were perhaps a little bit weaker than you might have expected. But I think, Belgium won the group by a point from Ireland and Holland, who were joint second. Holland went through on goal difference. It's pretty tough for Ireland at the moment, though. We're in a pretty, we've sent our best two players to play for England, which is rather sad. I'm going to be
there's a lot of that going on. I saw during the week Laporte turned out for Spain.
He's gone for Spain. Yes,
which seemed astonishing. That he'd not actually been capped yet. I couldn't quite.
Didn't he play for? Well, didn't he play for? But hold on. He played for France at junior level and all of that stuff.
But under 21s, didn't he?
Yeah, and suddenly, boom, he's become Spanish overnight.
Yeah.
Si, senor. I am Spanish.
I mean, that's. I hope it doesn't turn into like the way the rugby is, where you can actually, you can pretty much turn out for just about any nation as long as you live there for a little while. That does feel a little bit.
Imagine Ireland with Declan Rice and Jack Grealish. It's like night and day in terms of the potential of the team.
Yeah, massively, isn't it? Yeah. But they decided quite early on, didn't they?
No, they both played like full internationals, friendlies. So they come up through the underage groups.
Grealish did. I knew Declan Rice, but I didn't think Grealish had, did he?
I think so. He certainly played underage, under 21s. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, absolutely. I have a feeling he played 2 or 3 friendlies as well. I think, from memory. I'll check it, but it was quite a shock to the Irish team when he changed. I mean, there's a young lad who grew up playing Gaelic football, for example. So I get that he was born in England. I absolutely get that. And, brought up in an English town, absolutely understand that. But I mean, he's a young lad who played Gaelic football, through his young years in Birmingham, in the Irish community. I mean, I get also why he chose England. I just don't think you should be able to do that in internationals once you've declared.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is I think once you've actually you've declared that's what you're going to do, then it's kind of that should be it. Not to just go. I mean, a player we've already mentioned, Wan-Bissaka, is kind of has got the option at the moment. Yes, he can play for England, but also it's got other country options, and may well just take the view. Well, actually, if I want to play international football,
I'll better go elsewhere. But he has played for England as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, under 20. I'm pretty sure under certainly youth got to have. I would have thought. But look who's ahead of you in the pecking order, and you go, okay, Trippier's getting on a bit, and so is Walker. But actually, Reece James and Trent Alexander-Arnold are both very young. You think, what are you going to do? It's back. It happens all the time. You can go back to, I mean, we've talked, I think, on the show before about, Ray Clements and Peter Shilton. I mean, Ray Clements, any other time playing for England is going to get, and he's still got a decent number.
He's still
of
got
caps.
60 or 70 caps.
Yeah. But would have just got
Yeah.
ridiculous amount if it hadn't have been the fact that he was around
Either
the same
he
time
or
as
Shilton would have had 200 caps.
Yeah. It just would have been insane, absolutely insane. Yeah. That's just what can you do? There's nothing you can do about it. It's just bad timing. It's just the way fate works out in football. And I guess for some players, there'll be players all over which could have had really big international careers with considered to be bigger countries if it just wasn't the fact that there was somebody else that was just a little bit better than them in their position at the time.
But that's life. And the international thing should be about passion. It shouldn't be about just selecting your country so you can go.
Well, I mean, can anybody name a time when England was so in a particular position, had so many options as they do at right back now, where if you included Wan-Bissaka in there, and you could probably throw a couple of other names in there as well. I can't think of another position where England have just been absolutely ridiculous number of players and it's not as if it's just, these are youngsters coming through. Let's remember here that Alexander-Arnold was in the Liverpool team that won the Champions League and then won the Premier League. Yeah, Reece James is in the Chelsea team that's just won the Champions League. Trippier is in the Atletico team that's just won La Liga. Walker is in the Man City team that's just done back-to-back Premier Leagues and another cup.
Not back-to-back.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka is in the Man United team that. Yeah. So basically, they are winning right backs, all playing at the same time. Just for England, it's insane. I cannot think of another position where
it's never been as good.
It's been that good. Just incredible. It really is.
It's like Southgate having to sit there in press conferences saying, well, yeah, but he can play centre back, and he can play in midfield, and he can play on a right winger. If he needs to be a right winger, he can play up there.
Under 11s, he used to play. He used to play as a right winger, so that's
that's right. Look at how long Trent's arms are. He could play in goal. If we have 2 or 3 injuries, that would be very handy. He's flexible.
Did you see the save from the England keeper today?
Yeah, it was a great save.
Oh,
late in the second, right? Yeah, it's a great save. Strong arms.
Unbelievable.
Strong arms.
Yeah, super good. I can't believe he won't get snapped up during the summer.
No pun intended.
No, none at all.
We're still
three-handed in the poker, by the way. We are watching this is the conclusion of the May closer that we actually had to delay for a week because of those pesky WPT tournaments. We didn't want to clash with them. That's when you got 2 big tours playing online at the same time. Party Poker didn't want them to clash, so that's the reason why we're running our May championship in the first week of June.
That Belgian player there on the final table, the closer, Lee, he looks a right wrong un.
The Belgian player?
Yeah.
He's Dutch.
Oh, is he Dutch? Oh, that Dutch player on the final table, the closer, Lee. Looks
it's still a good joke.
Looks a right wrong un, he does.
It's still a good one, but yeah. He's because on the table you don't get the full, so he's up against Abby Clancy, which is Peter Crouch's missus, isn't it?
Oh, right. So, nice.
Yeah. So obviously Crouchy's about to start his late night Euro chat showy type thing after each of the games. Quite looking forward to that actually. He's quite into. Did you listen to any of his podcast stuff? So,
I haven't, but I know it reviews very, very well.
Yeah, it's very
quite like
very
Crouchy.
good listen. Yeah, very good listen. Doesn't take himself too seriously.
No.
But yeah. What did you make of him when he was at Liverpool?
They were stark times, Lee. I try not to look. We quite liked his celebration. Just didn't get to see it often enough, perhaps.
Did you ever feel that he was a Liverpool player, or just a case it was just a force at the wrong time?
I'm not the sort of supporter who I was never the supporter who would look at, just single a player out and say, oh, he's not a Liverpool player or anything like that. As far as I'm concerned, the club have chosen him. I'm gonna, support him, and there we go.
I mean, to be fair, you signed Andy Carroll, so
Well, the signing Andy Carroll wasn't wrong. Signing Andy Carroll for 35 million was wrong, and that was just because Chelsea just wrote us a incredibly big check for a very, very recently out of date Fernando Torres. So it seemed like a good sort of swap at the time. We get 15 million plus Andy Carroll. The problem was we didn't have any effective wingers, so we couldn't take advantage of it.
But every club has signings where you look back and you go, really? Why did they do that? I mean, even with the best of managers, I mean, we signed Jemba. I mean, just like, somebody explain that one to me.
Was it Southampton or somebody signed a player who'd never actually played?
Yeah, George Weah's cousin, allegedly, but never actually was.
They put him on for 12 minutes and then they pulled him right back off again.
I want to say it was when Graham Souness was the
it could have been.
There. It could have been. Literally, I think he lasted about 15 minutes on the pitch. So he was signed without the match ever seeing him. Somebody will put in the chat what the guy's name was. I can't remember off the top of my head what his name was. But yeah, he was allegedly George Weah's cousin and was signed and then managed 15 minutes and they subbed him back off. It's just, you think, how could that possibly happen? But
wouldn't happen today.
Certainly wouldn't happen today, because everybody scouts players via FIFA on the PlayStation now, don't they? Anyway,
absolutely.
That's how it all works now. So, but isn't that case? Is it Championship Manager or Football Manager? One of them, where there's that many stats that are so accurate on players across the world now
that people do actually use it as a resource.
The clubs that literally will use the Football Manager stats looking for youth players, and the stats are pretty accurate as to how good these players are, so they can actually get a feel for a player without actually even seeing them. That's it. Ali Dyer, that's the chap's name. Very good, Dan and Tom. Well done, both of you.
I'm not seeing that comment
well done.
at all.
Yeah,
that's brutal. I hate this chat.
Yeah, Facebook's really doing my head in.
I'm not seeing that at all.
You see some stuff that I don't see. And our viewing numbers that we know there is way more than it shows, but only ever shows like single digits. I don't know what Facebook is playing at with it. It's very frustrating though.
Because I know I've got it open in 4 different devices here just to get those numbers up.
Oh, but you're half the viewers, so that's fine.
I always thought I was at least half.
Well, we know there's plenty more, because there's more than that. They're in the chat discussing stuff. Tito. So I tell you what, Dan Houston would be good at that quiz game. He's a knowledge.
Let's get him on next week.
I'd love to pit Dan Houston against Tom Banks.
Well, we get him on
in a general knowledge showdown,
face-to-face showdown. Nice.
They both know a lot of stuff about some random subjects. It'd be very, very good. I think I struggle with my memory on stuff. I have a trouble to recall things. So I probably have read the fact or I've seen the fact somewhere, but I struggle to always recall these things. Jen's got a very good memory for stuff. She can just once she's read something or whatever, it's in her head and she can recall it whenever she needs to. Whereas I'll see an answer to something and then I'll go, oh yeah, I knew that. I just couldn't recall. But you can train yourself, I think, your mind to get better at that kind of thing.
Well, they've got a name for that. I think it's called early onset dementia. I don't want to worry you. I don't want to worry you.
No.
Just you want to eat more oranges or something.
I think I'm on. I must be getting close to day 500 of recording APAT online results with that day off.
Well, that's fair enough. That is fair enough.
We can't be far off 500 now, can't we? We must be getting close.
Think about it. Don't even think about it.
No, it's been a fun year and a bit. That's for sure. So we're down to 2 now, and we lost Patrick from Canada in 3rd place. So it is heads up, Netherlands versus UK. Alex from the Netherlands and Anthony, to give him his full name. He may be a Tony Clancy.
Mr. Clancy and Mr. Ron.
Yeah, they've not. Say Alex has got a bit of a chip lead here, but it's not anything massive. Blinds are 40,000, 80,000.
Oh, here's Tris.
See how this plays out.
I remember Harry Redknapp telling the Ali Dia story. He was approached regarding him playing for West Ham at the time, but I was having none of it. So I mean, if Harry didn't fall for it, I think that was probably
Sam Allardyce would have fallen for it. I think.
Straight in there.
Sam would have been straight in there, going, "Yeah, we'll get him. Can I have a suitcase of money as well?" Is that? Yeah.
A lot of that stuff must have been happening back in the day, though, Lee.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah, that's
Motorway services, you know.
Sure. Yeah, it's, well, that you say there's so many stories about, you know, say football back then, where the media weren't as kind of switched on to these things as to what goes on. It's quite scary. But even now, you see some. I mean, some of the things that the agents, it's reported that the agents are requesting and wanting, you know, are just absolutely obscene. I mean, even when you look something like now, the Haaland from Borussia Dortmund, you know, the talk is that the agent's expecting, you know, and his father wants this and they want that. I don't know how much of it you believe.
Yeah.
You know,
well, we know what it's like ourselves, don't we? We had Natalie on the Orbit Extra there, and her rider was just incredible. You know, plate of oranges. It was like 3 different brands of tea: green tea, white tea, dark tea. It was like
to peel those grapes. I mean,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
You know, but you got to do it like for the talent. Particularly like players like Ali Dia don't grow on trees.
Yeah. So Simon Lawler says the Venable story was a Martin Bashir scoop. Yeah, yeah. He's, how I mean, on that particular story, how is that guy not being brought to task for what went on? Because it feels like it's being, even now, it's being brushed under the carpet. I find absolutely incredible. Yes, they've come out and said, I don't know whether there's any more, you know, being done, but I feel like what broke the other week was effectively the report which says, yep, it was all dodgy. Okay, so we're all agreed it was all dodgy, right? So who's falling on their sword for this? Who's actually, you know, saying what, yeah, being done for? Because there are people that actually lost their jobs and lost their careers over it at the time because of the cover up, who were wronged, and
those people who lost their lives.
Yeah, well, you know, that's you know, that's the potential that's what resulted in that. You know, it feels just that it's still being swept under the carpet now. It's quite sad.
Agree.
Really, really is. As Tony raised up and wins that one, he's now gone to the chip lead now. It's just slightly gone the other way, win a couple of hands there, and Alex is not messing about now. Chips all go in the middle. I'm trying to work out what these, because so the first and second place money in these knockouts is exactly the same. So it'll be interesting to see. So because if you look, so Alex has got $99 worth of bounties on his head, and
Anthony's only got $5.
Just got the $5. So he's only literally knocked one player out very, very early on in the tournament. So that means they're playing for about $200 worth. Whichever one of them wins this will scoop the remaining $200 worth of bounties. Actually, Anthony's $5 on his head means he's not knocked anybody out. Actually, I'm just looking at his bounty. He's not won a bounty, so he's heads up without knocking a single player out.
So in
112 runners.
So in Euro 2020 terms, you've got France, shall we say, against the Czech Republic or somebody just not massively exciting, but they're somehow in the final, and as it happens, they've just gone a goal up.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. It's 200. So about $200 in bounties, which, as I said, is pretty much, you know, nearly double what they're going to get for the payout. But obviously, Alex has already picked up $188 of bounties pre. So if he wins this, actually, he's going to end up with about $600 from a prize pool of 2,240, which is huge.
It's okay, isn't it? That's okay. Crikey.
It's very, very decent, you know, to say the least. So Simon Lawler says, yeah, nice 3-month paid notice in the BBC pension. Yeah, it's quite frustrating to say the least. I saw that the Hillsborough families, and well, not just families, but the also those that were there on the day that were still alive are getting a payout from a couple of the police forces, even though Well, it all seems very murky and an awkward situation.
Didn't see that. When did you see that?
That was this week. They weren't allowed. They'd agreed it before earlier on in the year, but they weren't allowed to say anything until the case against the three. So the two police officers and the solicitor had come to a conclusion. So they weren't allowed to say anything. So that got announced earlier on in the week that I think it's two of the police forces had agreed a compensation and also a pot of money funding for anybody that was still, having, kind of mental issues and psychological issues with what had happened on the day. Have a look it up. It felt a little bit of a strange one, but that obviously for them to be none of them to be found guilty of anything.
I mean that's the extraordinary thing here. 96 people were found to have been unlawfully killed, and yet nobody was found guilty.
Yeah, but yet they've agreed financial. But they said they weren't allowed to announce it until that other court case had come to its conclusion.
Well, not before time.
Yeah, but I get the impression that it obviously it isn't what the families would have wanted, because it's not about the money. It's about justice and people being brought to task for whether I don't think it's so much about the decisions on the day. It's hard for me to say, I'm not remotely close to it, but I would imagine it's more about the cover up and what was done afterwards than it was necessarily about, because you can sort of to a certain extent appreciate that on the day when that's all happening, mistakes can happen and people can make things can go. You're making quick decisions and these things, but it's the cover up and everything else that went on afterwards. Which
I mean,
there's no
ultimately,
you just can't. There's nothing you can say that can possibly make that right in what went on afterwards, and therefore the money or finances doesn't really come into it, does it?
And I suppose if you think about it from the family's point of view, it just in saying what you said there, which is quite right, accidents do happen, but the important thing is for somebody to stand up and take responsibility for it, right? And I think had somebody taken responsibility back then the whole thing with the newspapers and the 30 odd years of pain that followed just wouldn't have been a thing. It would have been a completely different situation. But even to today, nobody has taken responsibility.
No.
So,
and I get the feeling now it's wrong to say it's going to be the end of it, because it's obviously for the families, it's never going to be the end of it, but it feels like there's nowhere else to go with it from a point of view of looking to get somebody to take responsibility.
Yeah, well, I would say never, but it does look that way. It does look that way.
Yeah, which is doesn't feel right to me, but as you say, you never know what might come down the line. It could be a long time down the line, but I get the feeling that the powers that be want to just move on, which is doesn't feel right. I don't think it sits well with anybody. That is for sure. So Alex has got a chip lead back now and is really applying pressure here.
Yes, he
blinds are at 60,000, 120,000 now. So Anthony's down to 10, 11 bigs. But they're going to see a flop here again. Alex no messing. What a flop for Anthony with the club flush draw, and then hits an ace on the river. Alex still not messing about though. It's getting chips in pre here, looking to get this over with. But this is always going to be the case of these turbo tournaments. Blinds going up every 5 minutes, so you haven't got time to hang about really. Certainly not now. Oh, he's going to regret letting that get down to the river. Anthony hits the ace on the river, and Alex was good up to that point. So a minute to go, and the players are going to be on another break. It'll be 5 to the hour. Don't see this is going to quite finish before. We never know. takes one hand, but we might well just be sneaking into our
Here
second,
we go again. No.
second break of the night. No, there it is. There is the break. So the players
First bit of poker we looked at all night, Lee.
Yeah. Players are going to have to hang about for another 5 minutes, and unfortunately. So just to confirm, earlier on in the night, the deep stack was won by Edward Tomescu from the UK. Tom O'Halloran was in second, and Will Stevenson in third. Well done to you guys. Main event down to 16 players, and our chip leader is from Brazil, Francisco. See if I can get his full name in. Get back to that. No, it's not let me do it because there's a lot of middle names in all of this. So, but it's Francisco Neto from Brazil, and Valentin Emling from Germany second, and Laurent Himo from Sweden is third. We mentioned Dan Austin, Joe Parsons. Who else is there? Dean Stafford, Tom Bacon. They're all in the final two tables. They'll be back at 7 o'clock tomorrow. The Omaha, that played down to a final table. Chip leaders David Anderson from Sweden, who's got a massive stack of chips, 2.2 million. Second place is Brian Yates with 632,000. Sorry, 632,000, should I say. So David Anderson from Sweden's got a massive chip lead on everybody else. Gordon MacArthur has 80,000 short stack, but has made the final table, and as has Tom Bacon. So Tom's made both day twos.
Wow, great.
Today, so that's very, very impressive. And then finally the closer. We're heads up in that at the moment. We're just watching that play out now. And, Anthony Clancy from the UK against Alex Rongen from the Netherlands.
This one's been over and back, Lee. Could still go anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. They've both had the chip lead at one point, so it could go either way. Don't forget, leaderboard ladders for this week doesn't conclude technically until we've had the day two of both of the main events tomorrow. So it just kind of rolls on. But next week's leaderboard ladders will start tomorrow night as well. And already in the lobby is the 7 o'clock game tomorrow, which is the Six Max knockout. And then the 8 o'clock game tomorrow night is PLO8. They're both $5.50 buy-ins tomorrow night. So I know loads of you will have $5.50 tokens to use up. They've all got 30-day expiry on them. So you've plenty of time and no excuse not to use them. It'll be another week of leaderboard ladders started. If for anyone that's not seen how to play them, anytime you cash in an APAT tournament during the week, you pick up points. And basically, if you're in the top 20 at the end of the week, you'll win an added value ticket. And the value of that ticket will depend on what step you're on. So everyone starts on step 1, which is $5.50 token. If you finish in the top 20 for the following week, you move up to step 2, which is an $11 token. And as long as you're in the top 20, you'll keep moving up. If you're out of the top 20, you'll move back down a step. Simple as that. And we go $5.50, $11, $33, $55, or $109 tokens. We've got, I think, 3 players at the moment that are on step 5 at the moment. That's Tony Ross, Gordon MacArthur, and Di Farrell. They're actually Eddie Nyax is on step 5 as well.
Is he? Yeah, well done. Good job.
Yeah, Eddie's on step 5 as well at the moment. There's a few. I don't think there's anybody on step 4 at the moment. I think there's a few players on step 3. Brendan Burns still on step 3. Pete Wigglesworth is on step 3. But if you have a look on the rankings, so if you go to apat.com to the rankings and look at the weekly rankings, you'll see that if you're above step 1, you'll always be on that leaderboard, even if you've not scored any points for the week. So just makes it easy for you to know what step you're on. But if you've not done it before, I mean, give it a go. It's you can very quickly build up and pick up some nice added value on a weekly basis if you can stay in that
you betcha.
20.
Yeah.
So definitely worth it. Last week is the first time we had Gordon was the first player to top the leaderboard on step 5. So he picked up 3 lots of $109 tokens last week, which is quite mad, really. Actually, I didn't say I wasn't convinced anyone would do it. We've had a few players on the step 5 that have made top 20 and picked up 1 ticket. But yeah, to top the leaderboard and pick up all three is very good. And he's
Good
very,
going.
very high up again this week as well. So yeah, give it a go. See how you get on.
Gordon like, but the player of the year was announced, I think, this evening. Did you hear who won it?
Well, I saw. Was it the Premier League one, or was it the PFA?
PFA, I think. So not the
PFA
writers,
one.
the other one, the
Well,
PFA.
I'm assuming it's a Man City player.
Yeah, good assumption. Which one?
Who won the writers was
Diaz.
Was Diaz, wasn't it? I'm assuming Diaz probably won this one, did he?
No, De Bruyne. Maybe a bit of a surprise. Yeah, because I don't think he had as golden a season as he's had previously.
Oh,
but
definitely not.
De Bruyne won it.
It's voted for by the players, isn't it? So
yeah. So for me, the most deserving one of all, and I think Foden took the young player. I think.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, at all. Oh, that is interesting. I saw that in the team of the year. It might have been. I'm sure that maybe it was. I thought it was the PFA team of the year. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the Premier League team of the year. I saw Salah made it in.
Yeah.
And Trent made it in at right back.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there was two Liverpool players.
I haven't even noticed that. I didn't pick that up. When did you read that then?
That was earlier on in the week. Because I was surprised that Maguire didn't make it in at centre back.
He didn't.
No, it was Stones and Diaz.
Ah.
I'm trying to think whether it was the Premier League or the PFA one now. To go and
don't know. I'd somehow missed that. I'm surprised that. Well, I am, and I'm not surprised. He had a good season, but by his own fairly high standards, it wasn't a tremendous season for Trent. He had periods of it where he was struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to know how. I'm trying to think, or maybe it was the BBC team. It was certainly there was a team of the year that was up on the.
So
definitely was.
Triplin is saying he was injured for a third of the season, so that's a fair point. And Simon is saying he was 16-1. Then his price dropped suddenly 3 weeks ago. Don't know where you put that down to, but I mean he's just a great player. That he's been the best player in the Premier League over the last, I guess, 3 or 4 years consecutively. I guess in that time period.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree with that. I mean that City team is just as a squad is ridiculous. To think that they're talking about potentially spending big this summer.
Just insane, isn't it? It's just insane. Thank God they can only get 11 of them on the pitch at any one time.
Yeah, I mean, if they decided to go and we'll get Harry Kane and we'll get Grealish as well, and drop a few.
Well, they'd have to drop. They'd have to drop somebody, right? That's the only thing.
There's talk that Sterling maybe had his time at City and will move on.
Yeah.
That was been rumoured in the past few weeks. All in a call. Alex has got Jack 8, and it's Jacks for Anthony, and it's the Jack 8 at risk. It's not. He's going to really struggle, and that's going to see that one over. And so it took the entire tournament for Anthony to pick up a bounty.
But it's a big one, right?
It's the biggest bounty of the lot, and it means it ends up top. So he's picked up $208.
Wow.
For finishing first there with his bounties. But obviously Alex had already picked up 108. So the difference between the two of them, first and second, was $20 in the end. that was pretty much it. How crazy is that? But yeah, very well done to Anthony Clancy. He picks up the win for the closer, which is very nice. Nearly $430 actually.
Happy days. As Mark Knopfler once famously said, that's the way you do it. Very, very good. So that's it. Unfortunately, we're not back tomorrow night, guys, as we mentioned earlier. But hopefully those finals will go, as the last couple of tables will go off well in the Omaha and the main event. And Leigh and I will be back next week. Let's see if we can get Dan on and Tom. Let's see if we can do those quizzes. That could be fun. Bring a bit of fun back. Yeah. All right. So listen, have a great week, guys. And, good luck, I guess, to Gordon and Tony in terms of just trying to finish off that leaderboards thing, because they're doing superbly well. I mean, very, very well, which is great to see. But that's it from Leigh and I. So we will see you next weekend, guys. Hopefully, you'll have a great week in the interim.